For 2026, there's now a new Honda Passport, and this one's bigger, longer, has more interior features, and it's making slightly more power than the ones beforehand. And the one I'm testing is the Honda Passport Trailsport Elite, so this is the more off-road focused version, and let's see if this is something that's worth your money. The Passports have several trims. The Trailsport Elite is priced at $52,450, and this represents a higher end example of the more off-road tuned version of the Passport. The easiest way to tell if you've got the Trailsport version is if you have the Trailsport badge and also the orange recovery hooks and these all-terrain tires. And if you look underneath, there's a couple of skid plates down below. Other than those distinguishing features, all of these Passports are going to look pretty similar. And this new generation Passport looks more rugged than the ones beforehand. So everything's much more rectangular. At the front, you get this Passport indentation into the front bumper. You get this inlet looking thing, which is unfortunately fake, but you could probably modify this if you're interested. The headlights all come with LED hardware, so LED headlights, LED fog lights. And then one other distinguishing feature is that if you get the Trailsport trims, the daytime running lights are amber, whereas the other ones are just white. This Trailsport Elite comes with the Trail Watch system, so it has the front camera right there. And as you can see, there's this little bump, and that is the washer to clean this camera. And down below, here's where you could really see the skid plates. That is made of high-strength steel, and this is 4 millimeters thick, and you could see there's another recovery point that you can hook into right there. The Trailsport model comes with these standard 18-inch wheels, and this is a rugged 7-spoke looking wheel, and you could see that it emulates that beadlock style rim, but there's no beadlocks there. And one thing to note about these wheel designs is that the valve stem is more recessed, so that the chances of this being sheared off while you're driving through pretty rough trails is reduced. And the one benefit to going with the Trailsport is that you get these 31-inch all-terrain tires. So this will give you a little bit more traction and will benefit the IVTM torque vectoring all-wheel drive system that this Passport has. This new generation Passport is actually a little bit bigger now by 2.7 inches in the wheelbase. So that mimics the Pilot, which is a 3-row SUV. So if you were to put this side by side, they would look pretty similar. But this is noticeably shorter in overall length. So therefore, you get a shorter front overhang and also a shorter rear overhang, which will improve the approach and departure angles. The ground clearance is at 8.3 inches, which I think is okay, but I wish that there was a little bit more for an off-road focused version. And because of that, I think this is something that's more suitable for light off-roading and not something like rock crawling, which the Toyota 4Runner would be capable of doing, not just because of the extra ground clearance, but also the available part-time four-wheel drive system of that vehicle. But in case you do take it off-road, again, there is some armor down below, and back here you have the fuel tank skid plate, and that's also made of high-strength steel, and that's about 2.8 millimeters thick. This new Honda Passport has a very Ford Bronco-esque sport look to it. You get this thicker-looking C-pillar, matte over fenders and rocker panels, and at the rear end you get more LED taillights. And just in case you forgot what vehicle you were driving, the Passport logo is also indented into the rear hatch. The rear camera also has a sprayer, which is nice. And the Trailsports also come with a trailer hitch and also built-in recovery hooks. And as you can see, this is pretty thick, 12.7 millimeters thick. So this will provide some armor when you're just coming down from that hill. As you can see from the side, that is the part that protrudes, so that will protect the rear bumper. And that can support the weight of up to 2 Passports. And then up top, you get some integrated roof rails. So overall, not a bad-looking SUV, and it has some sporty off-roading intentions. Let's jump inside and see what upgrades you could find in the new Passport. Now, sitting inside, the first thing that grabbed my attention is this brown and black leather interior. These are very nice to the touch. This feels more high quality than something that you could find in the Toyota 4Runner. This is actual leather rather than the Softex material that you could find in the Toyotas. So this just feels softer and more supple and just more high quality in general. The next interior design feature that grabbed my attention is this new dash design. So this reflects the more modern automotive interior designs where it draws your eyes from the left all the way to the right. So it's a much more open floor concept, for a lack of a better term. And certain things are just much more miniaturized and just lower profile. So it provides that larger open space. With those design changes comes a new larger infotainment screen. So this one is 12.3 inches in size. So if you look at the Honda Pilot, that actually has the smaller 9-inch screen. So I expect this new screen size to trickle down to all of the other Honda models. Now with Google built in, you obviously get Google Maps, the Google Play Store, also the Google Assistant, but it's nice that you still get wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Now with this Trailsport Elite, this also comes with the Trail Watch, and you can activate the 360-degree camera view. If you put yourself into Trail Sport mode, this will highlight the tire path, and this has a fairly decent refresh rate. Part of that Trail Watch system, you also get a couple of meters. You get your pitch and roll meters, and you also get the elevation chart, which is again very off-road themed, and that's displayed on this 10.2-inch digital instrument cluster. As for the steering wheel, this has some nice paddle shifters for the 10-speed automatic transmission. This comes with heated steering wheel with a button on the steering wheel itself, which is nice. And of course, this comes with the orange stitching to reflect the Trailsport model, and you get the Trailsport logo right there as well. Over in the center console, you still get a volume dial, which is very nice, and then you get another Passport emblem right there, and then physical dials for the climate control, and also ventilated and heated seats in this Trailsport Elite model. And what I like about the climate controls is that this is a 3-zone unit. So 2 zones, one for the driver and one for the passenger, and then also one for the rear passengers. And then down below you have a fairly shallow storage here, which you could put your phone if you want to, but then here's a dedicated wireless charger. And over here you get a couple of USB-C ports. Right next to it you get the cigarette style lighter port. And then to control the 10-speed automatic transmission, you get this low profile button style shifter, which you found in Honda and Acura vehicles for a couple of years at this point. And then you have your drive mode control. This has been highlighted in that orange for the Trailsport models. And then you also have a hill descent control. And to toggle between the speeds for the hill descent control, you actually use the brake and gas pedals to toggle between 2 miles per hour up to 12 miles per hour. Again, so hill descent control, that's really there as a cruise control system when you're off-roading, so that you could solely focus on steering and placement of your car rather than the throttle and brake modulation. And right next to that, you get a couple of large cup holders. This can actually fit 32-ounce bottles. Some nice textures on there, so it's not pure piano black, so maybe this will hide scratches a little bit better. And then you get the nice armrest here, which I don't believe this is leather. I believe this is just some sort of soft rubber. And then right below that, you get a pretty decent storage here. Unfortunately, no additional USB-C ports to be found in the center armrest. And up top, you have storage for your sunglasses, and this Trailsport Elite model comes with this panoramic sunroof, which exposes a lot of light into the cabin here. Now let's jump into the second row, but actually before we do that, if you look at the wheelbase, again, this has been stretched by 2.7 inches. And what benefits there is the amount of rear legroom space and also the cargo space. So the rear legroom for the previous Passport was actually pretty good, but this has been increased, so it's now 40.9 inches of second row legroom. So that's actually best in class for the new Honda Passport. And in the center console, this one comes with heated outboard seats and also climate control. And then down below, you see a couple of USB-C ports and a 115-volt outlet. And sitting behind myself, you see that there's plenty of legroom here. I also like the built-in pockets, and there's another pocket right in front here, so you could sort of prop your phone in there to watch something, or if you have like an iPad mini, that'll slot right in here pretty nicely. And then one more feature, you get this nice built-in sunshade, which covers up a good amount of the rear window. And just like the front door, where you could get a couple of storage solutions on the door card itself and some nice materials and some nice finishes, the second row has the same set of features. Nice storage solution here, and this is also equipped with the 12 Bose speaker system, and you get a couple of speakers on the second row as well. As for the back row, this is probably my favorite part of the Honda Passport. The amount of cargo space behind the second row. You get 44 cubic feet of space, and there's also lots of clever storage back here. First, this underneath floor storage, which you could flip to the side, and that's kind of like a new design, which other cars typically it's just a front to back opening, but this is a left to right opening. And this is a pretty long storage compartment where Honda says that you could actually fit one of their Honda generators in here. And if you pop this up, you get a spare tire in here. And then right behind that, you get some nice Trailsport logo Easter eggs. And I just love the amount of side pockets on the left and right sides of the car. You can actually fit a couple of 1-gallon bottles here on the left and also on the right-hand sides. And then on the lower level, you could fit a couple of larger bottles as well. Same on the left-hand side. And here we have another 115-volt outlet, some built-in cargo hooks, And then also, if you take a look at these little notches, you could actually buy an accessory table, and that will act as a secondary shelf. And then if you fold the second row down, the cargo space now grows to 83.8 cubic feet of space. That's up from 77.7 cubic feet of space from the previous Passport. And according to Honda, this can actually fit 2 full-size mountain bikes behind the first row. Now let's talk about the driving experience, and I'll start with the power plant. The 3.5 liter V6 gets a very marginal power bump compared to the previous iteration. So now it's making 285 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. The amount of power is okay. It has this very naturally aspirated feel, so pretty smooth power generation, but almost all of the power is going to be at the top end of the power band. This returns a 0 to 60 time of around 7.5 seconds. That's pretty decent for a vehicle of this size. And as for the ride quality, this rides much like a luxury car, because for the Trailsport version, they've actually reduced the stiffness for the front and rear stabilizer bars, and also the changes in the rebound and compression rates. So that's what comes in with the off-road tuned suspension for the Trailsport. And they've included acoustic glass all around, so the wind noise is going to be largely reduced. But since this has all-terrain tires, that's the next sound source, so you will hear the sound from the tires coming through the bottom portion of the car. The braking feels pretty strong. The front brakes are 1.2 inches larger than before, and this has a pretty good pedal feel. And with the Trailsport, you get a few more driving modes. So in addition to the Sport, Normal, and Econ and Snow modes, you also get Trail, Sand, and Tow. And this just changes the way the IVTM all-wheel drive system works and their torque distribution. Even though this has off-roading intentions and aspirations, I still wouldn't take this on some more serious off-road trails. I'd rather take something like a Toyota 4Runner, which has a body-on-frame and also a 2-speed transfer case. This has a pretty good all-wheel drive system, but again, if you want to transfer more torque to the ground, something with a 2-speed transfer case so you can engage for low, that is going to make you much more mobile. Additionally, the 8.3-inch ground clearance of this Honda Passport is nice, but there are other vehicles that will make you feel more comfortable as you go through the rough stuff. I think driving with this is just going to add a little bit more stress and a little bit more fear of it getting stuck. So it really depends on what your use cases are. But on-road, the off-road tuning suspension actually makes this into a much more comfortable SUV to drive around. This feels like a luxury car. Overall, I think the changes are very nice for this new Honda Passport. I like the design. I like the amount of interior features in here. The larger screen is nice, and the overall driving experience is pretty great. I want to thank you so much for watching all the way up to this point. If you want to see my review of the Honda Pilot, click this link over here. But again, thank you so much for watching all the way up to this point. My name is Hanson, and this has been the 2026 Honda Passport Trailsport Elite, and I'll see you in the next one.